and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Lori Scarpa Petrangelo, and today I'm going to share with you how I make my kombucha. Now, I'm sure many of you know kombucha has been around for about 2,000 years. It was originally used in China and then migrated to Japan, and then pre-World War II had migrated to Russia and Germany. And as a matter of fact, Russia was doing a lot of studies on kombucha because they found that they had several regions in their country that were cancer-free. And the only thing those regions had in common was that they drank kombucha. So let's get started. Now, the first thing you have to remember to do before you touch your SCOBY, which is a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, you want to make sure you've washed your hands, which I've already done. Also, if you're new to this for the first time, you probably don't have a brew to take your SCOBY from. Hopefully someone has given you the SCOBY. Don't buy the SCOBY. SCOBYs can be gotten from a friend. People have a lot of SCOBYs. SCOBYs make SCOBYs. So once you start your brew, you'll find that you have a lot of SCOBYs, and we love to share the gift of the kombucha. So today we're going to get started. I have a brew here that's ready. So in my brew is my SCOBY that I'm going to use for my next brew. So I'm going to take my SCOBY out. Now my SCOBY has, as I told you before, sometimes SCOBYs make SCOBYs. I have a baby SCOBY on my mother's SCOBY. So I'm going to pull that apart. And now I can make 2 brews instead of 1. Now you'll notice the brown on my SCOBY. You don't want to take that off. That's active yeast. You need that for the fermentation in your kombucha. Now what do we need to get started with? Well, we need to have 4 cups of water boiled. So I have here 4 cups of water boiled. Once your water is boiled, you're going to put 4 to 6 tea bags. You want to brew your tea for 7 minutes. Now I always use green tea. You can use green tea or you can use black tea. I prefer green tea. Black tea to me makes it a little bit too bitter. Once you've brewed this for 7 minutes, you want to take your tea bags out and you want to add a cup of sugar. Now, it's recommended that you use organic white sugar, which I have over here, which you can get in ShopRite or any other grocery store near you. Or I like also to use raw sugar. They both give it a different type of flavor, and both are acceptable. When I use my green tea, I always use organic. Now you don't have to use this brand, but just make sure you get organic. You're also going to need some purified water, and I'll show you why. And you can get this in any grocery store for 99 cents. So I'm going to move my brew over here because we need to harvest that later. I'm not going to be using that right now. I'm going to take a new container. Now I'm going to take my SCOBY and put it in my container. And then out of this brew that I just made, I'm going to take 1 to 2 cups and cover my SCOBY with the brew. Unfortunately, I can't get my cup in here, so we'll have to do this slow. But you just want to make sure that you have your SCOBY covered, and you need your brew from your previous batch to get your new batch going. It's about 2 cups. Now what I like to do is I like to use a gallon jar. Why? Because it's so much easier. I know for sure that I'm using a gallon when I have a jar to measure it with. So you're going to take your tea cooled, make sure it's room temperature, and you're going to pour it into your gallon jar. And hopefully I won't spill this. Here we go. Simple, right? I'm going to take my purified water Fill my jug all the way up to here because that's how I know I've got a gallon. Make sure it's purified water. So now I'm going to take my SCOBY in the brew that I just that I'm going to harvest, that I just took my SCOBY out of. I'm going to pour my tea into this container. Now it's important you use glass. You don't want to use anything that your SCOBY or your kombucha is going to absorb from, because glass is the best thing to protect your SCOBY from that. You don't want any contamination. You have to keep this very pure and organic. Now I'm going to take a towel. You want to cover your mix, but you do not want to seal it. It has to breathe. So it's recommended that you take a towel, put it over the opening, and seal it. I have large rubber bands. Seal it with a rubber band. And I also recommend that you write the date that you made this brew, because if you're like me, you're going to have 3 or 4 going on at a time. So today is August 22nd. So I use this little Post-it. Put it on here so I know. And now you're ready to store it. Now where do we store this? Well, I recommend you put it in some place where it's dark, not too cool because you don't want it to be cold, and leave it alone. I put it in I have a big closet I put mine in. And I leave it alone. You don't touch it, don't disturb it. You need to let this ferment for 10 to 12 days. After about 10 days, you can taste it and see how it tastes, and you can decide. It's going to have a little bit of carbonation to it. I like the green tea, as I said before, because I think the black tea is a little bitter. I don't really like bitter. So that's how we make our kombucha. And how I like to end my kombucha making is I like to always have a drink. So, thanks for joining me, and until next time, happy brewing!